And we're live.
Hello, everybody.
This is
Amy Port. This is
Michael Port. We are related, not by blood, fortunately,
but by choice.
But by choice. We're married. We probably have some relationship with most of the folks that are here. Maybe we've worked with you before, maybe we haven't. Hopefully, we will have the opportunity in the near future to work with you, to be in service to you. You know, we've been doing this for a while in one way, shape, or form, and to some success. And we never take it for granted, however, to have the opportunity to be in service of you. We really, someone was commenting on how good we are at our jobs, the skill we've developed, and I was appreciative of it, and it made me think of the fact that this is not what we do so much as who we are. This work is, I think, an expression of who we are. And we hope you have the opportunity to express who you are through the work that you do as well. And we hope that we're able to help you forward that mission through self-expression, because our work in large part is about self-expression. So thank you for being here.
And that self-expression is whether it's on a stage, whether you're on film, whether you're interacting with a group of people in a sales meeting or an individual one-on-one. The work is so much about how you show up in the world. And today we're talking to you about how you do that on film, how you do that on camera.
Yeah, so there are two goals for this particular live stream. One is to give you an overview of what works in a speaker demo video and what you need to consider when you're making your own. The other objective is to encourage you to do it with us so that we have the opportunity to make sure you do this right. So those are two objectives. So if you decide that you're not going to work with us, you'll at least have an outline for what you need to make sure you've got in place if you do your own. And if you do this with us, then you probably won't have to worry about any of those things because we'll take care of it for you.
That's right.
There are 5 different types, or I say categories, of video that folks use now. Oh, by the way, we're going to take roughly 90 minutes. We won't need all 90 minutes for the educational component of our session, but we will leave a fair amount of time for questions at the end. So if you have questions, you can put them into the questions box throughout this session. We'll be tracking them here, and then Amy will bring them over to us when the time comes.
And if you're not readily seeing where that box is to put your questions in, if you go up above the video where you're watching us, you'll see a little square made of 9 little squares. And if you click on that, you can click on Q&A, and the questions box will come up. It's right there for you.
Why don't you tell them again?
Look above the video, top right. You'll see your name, your picture, a question mark, and a little box that has 9 boxes in it. Click on that icon, the box with 9 boxes in it, and you'll see an option to see your Q&A box.
Great. So there are 5 different categories of video. There is a website welcome video, which generally demonstrates who you are, your brand identity, and maybe an overview of the products and services that you offer. There's a program or product launch video, or a series of videos, which really is specifically focused at promoting a particular product or video in a launch series. Those are very popular, very effective as well.
And then there are teaching videos that might be within a course, within a program or offering, where you are teaching direct to camera.
That's right. And then there are interview style videos. So for example, if I was interviewing Amy, I would sit back here and say, so Amy, tell me about how to be as fabulous as you are. And then she would go ahead and do that.
Talk about my fabulousness.
She'd talk about her fabulousness. So those, people use those for different purposes. Sometimes they are, some sort of always have something to invite people to offer. It's a way of building brand identity. You get to meet lots of interesting people. And educate and inspire in the process. And then there are speaker demo and Sizzle reels.
Which are two different things. Speaker demo reels and Sizzle reels are two different things.
Yeah. So we're going to focus on speaker demo reels. That's what our focus is today. I wanted to give you a sense of the different types of video that you may be using, because each one really requires a different approach, a very unique approach. Might even be shot by different people depending on what their experience or skills are or are best suited for. But for most of our students, when it comes to public speaking, the demo video is so incredibly important, because if you do not have video to show, then it's very hard for people to say yes to you. Now, let's make a distinction between a Sizzle reel and a demo reel. They're often conflated. People often think of them as the same thing, but there is a difference. So the Sizzle reel is usually the reel that starts with some voiceover. You know, John Smith is the greatest thing since sliced bread. You've never seen anything like John Smith. John Smith, not only is he great, he can butter his bread. You know, it's got that sort of real heavy promotional feel. And then it's often a clip of the speaker saying a one-liner that they feel is impactful. And then it'll cut to another speech and a one-liner. And then maybe it'll cut to some testimonials. Then it'll cut to, you know, written testimonials usually. Then it'll cut to another one-liner, and then maybe another one-liner. And sometimes the same event is used, and sometimes multiple events are used. Now, you will see people who have a lot of experience and a long track record in this industry often using these types of Sizzle reels. Sometimes they're better than others, but it's easy for somebody who has an enormous amount of experience and hundreds of gigs on big stages to do a Sizzle reel, because it almost doesn't matter what they say in the video itself, because they're being seen on big stages at Coca-Cola, Microsoft. And if you see a speaker delivering speeches at 15 different huge gigs, you think, oh, they're probably pretty good. So they don't need as much to demonstrate their actual ability to perform. They have the credits that they're using. So they're using those credits to demonstrate their credibility rather than their actual ability to perform.
You might think of it as being akin to this section on a website that might say, as seen in the New York Times, Forbes, the Wall Street Journal. And so very often celebrities use them because they may have those Coca-Cola credit, Coldwell Banker, those kinds of credits.
Yes. And then there's also the Sizzle reel that somebody might use from a speech that they've given. Maybe they haven't given many speeches, but they gave one speech that they felt had a good looking set and there was some audience there. So they'll have someone come and film it. And then they cut that speech down into lots of little sound bites to turn it into a Sizzle reel. So it only shows that the speaker did one speech, and it just shows little bits. So there isn't necessarily a through line, and you don't really know if that speaker can hold the stage, because what you're getting is one or two lines here or there, and
maybe a laugh track.
And maybe a laugh track, or a cut to B-roll of the audience laughing. So maybe it's not a track. Maybe they're laughing, but you know, anybody can get an audience to laugh once or twice. So often the person who's looking at that video, they don't really know, especially if they're experienced, they don't really know if you can command the stage for an hour. Commanding the stage for an hour and delivering a couple good one-liners throughout is a very, very different thing. So that's the Sizzle reel. And it differs from a demo video, because the demo video is often like a trailer for a film, but it has its own arc. You know, you can watch a really good trailer for a film and you go, I just saw the whole film. That was fantastic. I don't need to spend the $15. But it's almost like its own story, like a short movie, a little short film. And a demo video often has that same arc, but you're not just taking little one-liners from a speech. You're actually rewriting the speech such that it is its own 2.5 or 4 minute speech.
And quite frequently, you're also looking to build in some contrast within that 2.5 to 4 minutes. So there may be sections of your presentation that are quite funny. There may be others that are quite moving. The people who are hiring need to know, as Michael said so perfectly, that you can hold an audience, you can hold the stage for an hour. They also need to see that it's not the same thing the whole time. And so when you sculpt a speaker's demo reel, we're looking for that arc so that the people who are hiring can see that the audience is taken on a journey, that they end up in a different place than where they started, but also that there are different flavors that are introduced throughout. If there are parts of the speech that are curriculum and sharing takeaways and strong content, we need a flavor of that in there. If there are sections that are quite inspirational, we need that in there too.
Mm-hmm.
So we sculpt the speaker reel in a very different way than one might set up a Sizzle reel for the purposes of hiring and to cultivate a very specific message about how you want to be seen as a professional speaker.
Absolutely. So when decision makers are considering you, meeting planners, association chairs, etc., they're going to look at this video and they're going to make judgments on you. That's what they're doing. They're assessing you. They're considering you. And they're judging a number of different things. They're judging the quality of the video. Because if they're going to bring in somebody who is an expert on a particular subject matter and is a professional speaker, because there's a difference. You could bring in someone who's an expert and not a professional speaker, and the meeting planners are not as worried that that person's not as polished, but the group needs this very specific expert on a specific topic. However, if you want them to think of you as a professional and that you want them to pay you to come in, then they're going to first look at that production quality. Does it look like it has some richness to it? That it's high end, sort of, if you go to a website and the website's a little bit amateurish or old looking, homemade, then you might go, I don't know, are they really professional? Or is it a side thing or a hobby? But if you go to a website that looks incredibly high end, you have an immediately different impression. And the same thing is true for video. They're, of course, assessing your skill. So they need to be able to see more of you than just the one-liners. They're assessing your content. Is it relevant to them? You can be a great speaker, but not hired because your content isn't relevant to that particular audience. So there are really 3 different ways that you can create this video. You can do it yourself on a homemade camera. You just put up your iPhone.
A homemade camera.
Yeah, I don't really make the camera at home. If
you
can make your own camera, that would be impressive.
But take your iPhone, put it on a tripod.
So that's one way to do it. The other way is to hire a professional film crew. And then the other way is to have us do it for you. So we're going to walk through those 3 different options so that if you decide you're going to do it yourself with an iPhone or some other type of camera that you'd use yourself, you'd know what you need to consider, because it's possible you can do that. It's certainly an option, and then a legitimate one. Then we're going to walk through some of the things you need to consider if you are going to hire your own film crew. And then we'll introduce how it would work if you do it with us. Okay. So if you are going to do this with yourself, so you need something to shoot with. You need a tripod.
Preferably not a homemade camera.
Preferably not a homemade camera.
I'm not going to let him live that one down.
That's going to hear about that a lot tonight. That's what it's like when you live together. Anyhow,
iPhone or Samsung.
Yeah.
On a tripod.
Well, the things, so let's address some of the things you got to watch out for.
Good.
You probably are, I mean, I've seen some people do this in their living room, but what it suggests to the person watching is, oh, they've never been on a stage, because otherwise they'd have video from on a stage. And of course, that's always the catch-22. You know, if you want to get speaking gigs
on a big stage,
then they need to see you actually giving speeches on a stage. But if you haven't given speeches on the stage, how are they going to see a video of you giving speeches on the stage? So that's the catch-22. So, you know, it'd be a lot better if you put it in a space that that looked a little bit more significant. But you got to watch out for low production value, poor audio quality, no B-roll, which means B-roll is shots of the audience responding to you performing on stage.
Also, if it's not well edited,
Yeah.
you know, there may be some of you out there that are professional filmmakers who have transitioned into speaking. It's so beautiful. But for most of us, the skill and the subtlety that goes into a well-edited, well-produced video is beyond our scope. And if you're doing it on your own, even just some clunky edits can give away that it's not as high end.
I guess they probably see that we don't prefer that as an option. I mean, so it is an option and it's legitimate. It's just not our preference for you. We wouldn't do it for ourselves. So anything that we wouldn't do for ourselves, we would never want you to do either. So that's the first option.
But if they are going to do it that way, if you are going to put a phone on a tripod and do your video that way, here are some things to consider to up the quality of it. First of all, make it 2.5 to 4 minutes. Seeing you in an efficient way is preferential, rather than here's 20 minutes or here's 1.5 minutes.
Because when they want to see something that's about 2.5 to 4 minutes, they may afterwards say, oh, can I have something that's an hour? Can I have a full speech?
That's right.
But they're very not likely to watch a whole speech first.
Especially if they're taking it to committee. Yeah. Especially if it's not one decision maker. It may be someone vetting you, and then they want to have something to show to a room full of decision makers.
And that's usually how it is. Even for smaller association meetings, there's usually a few people who are in those decision-making seats. So that's number one. Keep it to 205 minutes. Make sure you have a call to action at the end, so the person who's watching knows what they should do now that you've piqued their interest. Make sure that there's a storyline, that there's an arc. When you watch any kind of theatrical production, when you watch a great speech, there's an arc. There is a trajectory that the character goes through, and the character in the speech may be you. The character may be the audience member. Even if you're teaching curriculum, there's still a trajectory that they go through. You start here, then you go here, then you go here, then you go here, then you go here, and you produce this particular result. And so great speeches are usually based on big ideas and deliver big promises. So they need to see that big idea in that introduction video and the promises that you make, and feel that you're able to deliver on those promises. And you do that through the crafting of the arc. So you're actually writing a script for this short video. You're not just, pulling out a random section. You're writing a script that is specific because the video needs to stand on its own. So you've got keeping it, simple, 2.5 to 4 minutes, call to action, storyline. And this way, you show that you can handle the stage. And if you're doing one camera, then of course, that's it. You're handling the stage the whole time. But even if you're doing a multiple camera shoot, which we'll get to in a bit, the way that it's edited should make the viewer feel that the whole thing was shot in one take, so that they see, oh, they can handle this longer, even if it's 2.5 to 4 minutes to a viewer. That's still a long piece of tape to watch, so to speak. So that they feel, oh, they can handle this. There isn't a starting and a stopping, a starting, a stopping, a starting and a stopping. That's important.
So let's talk real practical for a moment. Wardrobe. What you wear matters. Now there are some practicalities around that, like make sure that your skirt length, ladies, and the camera angle work in a way that will not create any unintended consequences. There are also things to consider, like with your wardrobe, is it true to brand? Are you presenting yourself in the way that is consistent with how you want to be seen in the world and as a speaker and professionally? Also consider shoes, what you're wearing on your feet, because even if they're not seen on the camera, if the sound of your shoes is heard, then that's not optimal because it can be distracting. Or if you slide, men, if you're wearing slick soled shoes, if you in any way are unsteady or not at ease in your movement, that too conveys something to the watcher that may be unintended.
And we mentioned how important audio is. So if you're doing this on your own, you want to make sure that you've got a good audio setup to capture good, clean, broadcast quality audio. And that means no bangles, nothing that will interfere with a lavalier microphone if you are using one. And if you are doing this on your own, you will need a lavalier microphone or a boom that comes down that's not in frame, but is the way that they might use on a film set. But that's a whole nother level of production that is very unlikely you're going to have, in large part because you need a boom operator to actually follow you around, which may be a higher level production than you might have if you're doing it by yourself. So those are the basics for doing it by yourself.
I have to add one more.
Sure.
Hair. I know Michael might not think of this one all the time,
hair?
but I
hair?
do. What's hair? Because if your hair in any way covers part of your face, or I've seen people where it literally will cover an eye, sometimes then people cock their heads so that the hair is out of the eye and they can be seen, or are continually playing with it. Make sure that your hair is out of the way. It's one of those practical things that comes up again and again, so that you're not touching it or petting yourself as you're speaking, and so that you can be fully seen and not be hiding.
Yeah. So let's talk now about hiring a crew.
Oh, that sounds like a good idea.
Doing it professionally, but managing the project yourself. And I have a list here. There's a number of things that you will need to consider. So I actually want to go through this list so we do it expeditiously and comprehensively. So if you're going to hire a film crew, make sure you hire a film crew that has experience doing this kind of work. Because if they're used to doing corporate videos that are what would be called industrials, it's a different style often that they're shooting in, and they may not make the transition into this particular style. So make sure that they have some experience.
Rent a big space. Rent a theatrical space. Rent an auditorium. If that's the kind of space that you want to work on, you want to speak on, and we're hoping that's your aim, then you need to be seen in that kind of space.
That's right.
Different from a conference room.
Yeah. You're going to write the script on your own. If you are, hire an editor, hire a script editor, or make sure that your script is clean, to the point, inspirational, educational, and really is punchy for that 2.5 to 4 minute video.
Storyboard the project. Different camera angles contribute to different stories, different flavors, a different experience for the audience. So you can storyboard, and we suggest you do, storyboard it out, bring that to your director, bring that to your film crew, and direct the project, what camera angles you want when.
Yeah, so that's the direction. You are the executive producer. So you're in charge of all production. So if you're renting the theater, you'll need to manage that. If you're hiring the film crew, you'll need to make sure that the film crew has what they need. Often if a film crew is coming from another location, they rent all their equipment in that other location. So you'll be very often the intermediary in managing that rental process. That's what we do with our crews. We have someone on the team who does all of that work with them. So you're going to be the executive producer and the director, and line producer, which is different than the executive producer, and the star too. You're essentially like Angelina Jolie. pretty much. You'll do everything on the project from soup to nuts. You'll also make sure that you want to have a significant budget, because if you're hiring a film crew and the film crew is top notch, they'll want to have a number of cameras. So they're going to shoot multiple angles, which means they need a multiple camera operators. They'll also need an individual, very often, sound engineer. Not always, but if you're in a very big space and you want really high quality sound, and a sound engineer is helpful. That could be a crew of probably about 3, usually about 3. Our shoots, we'll bring 5 or 6. They're a little bit bigger in production value.
I agree with everything you're saying, and I want to emphasize the need for a sound engineer. We, at one of our shoots, had a big rainstorm come through, and you could hear it in the space as the rain hit the ceiling of the building. You cannot protect against all external sound in any of these spaces. You cannot protect against all external sound, but the sound engineer can. The sound engineer can work with what's coming in and what's being recorded.
Yeah, no, people in the room were shocked when the engineer said, we gotta wait. We gotta wait.
Oh,
it was first. He waited for 10 minutes at one point because it was so loud. It was the roof was really pounding, and nobody else was like, "What do you mean wait? Why is that getting picked up? My microphone's here. That's all the way over there." But he could hear just enough of it, and then we were able to pick back up, even though it was still raining, because he could adjust all of the way he was taking in the sound. And then, of course, he knows what kind of sound he can edit out in post-production and what kind he can't. There are certain things that once they are on the track, you can't get it out because it is over some other language, for example. But if we pause and there's a clap in the middle of the pause, well, they can take that clap out and fill it in with ambient room tone. But if it's on what we're talking about, you can't do it if it's on the same track. If it's on a different track, that's something else altogether. But nonetheless,
you need a budget for those people.
So that's the point, is that you need a budget. So, we've done shoots that are just to shoot trailers for us that have come in around $35,000. And that includes, of course, all the production, the crew, and all of the editing. Often the editing is a lot of time, because you're going over it, with a fine tooth comb. And if they're not really great at doing this kind of production, then you're going to spend more time with them on editing, which of course means higher fees, because they're charging you for the time generally that they're spending. Now, maybe some will do a fixed fee, but rarely is the case in the industry. Usually they'll charge you by the hour for the editing time. So I would say, if you're going to do this on your own and you're going to rent a big space and you're going to make sure that you've got a top-notch crew and you're budgeting for editing, and I think ultimately you could be in around 20 grand. Maybe you could come in around 10 if you're doing it yourself with a big crew, but I think probably around 20. But let's just say you had 10. I think you could get away with 10 grand for it. That's my guess. What, you think more?
I'm the one booking the spaces.
She is. She's the one who manages all the P&L. I'm like, take it, get it.
10.
Yeah, easy. Whatever. I don't care.
We've never done a shoot for 10. But what I will tell you is this, that when we spent the big bucks, and I do consider these budgets to be big bucks, whether you're spending 10 or 20 or 35 for a shoot, if it's bringing you back the business, then it is worth it.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So hopefully you're satisfied with the final product. Hopefully. And what else? Also make sure that you know how you want the viewer to feel, but don't sell anything when you're on the stage. Make sure that you're not sort of pitching something while you're doing it. You're serving the audience. And if you're serving the audience and you're really clear about your big idea and the promise you're making and the way you want them to feel, and you're delivering on that in the video, well, they're going to hire you. That's, be best in class. I think that always, takes the day. That's always how I've seen it. So you can do that. So you can do it by yourself with your the camera that you make at home, or you could do it hire your own film crew and be the producer, or you could do it with us.
That takes a lot of time, I have to say. Doing it with a team and handling all of that, takes a lot of time, and you should be prepared for that if that's the direction you go.
Or you can do it with us, and that's our preference. Of course, we are completely biased. We have a self-interest here for two reasons. One, because this is the business we're in, right?
Yep.
We're doing this work, so that's obvious. But number two, because we want our students and anyone associated with us to be best in class and to be out in the world looking best in class. This is one of the reasons that we came up with this idea. We did it last year for the first time. And the reason it came up is because we were working with our graduate students at one of our sessions with them. And we were having a conversation about the business, and we were talking about demo reels. And somebody said, yeah, but how am I going to get these gigs if I don't have a demo reel? And I said, well, you're going to have to make one. They're like, well, how the hell do you do that? I said, oh, you don't know how to make a demo reel? It was one of those things because it just seemed, we hadn't really thought much about it, frankly. And then I realized that's the catch-22. That's the conundrum that you're in. So I said, well, would you find it valuable if we just brought all our filmmakers in for a few days? They shot all your videos. We worked on the scripts, and they'll edit it, storyboard it, the whole thing. They said, yeah.
Please.
So who would want to do that? So every single student was like me. So we put that on the calendar, and we did 3 days last year. Every single slot was sold out pretty much immediately, because it was our students, and then we opened it, our grad students, then we opened it up to a few. So we doing it again this year. We imagine we'll do it once a year. People always ask, are you doing another one? Because if I can't do this one, we'll do it once a year. And we open up to our grad students first. They took 2 of the days entirely already. And we have
some.
We have how many spots? It's up on the wall somewhere.
We have 9 spots.
9 spots. So we have 9 spots left for one of the 3 days. That's how it runs. Now we're opening it up to the rest of our students.
That day that the spots are open is June 18th. It's a Monday.
June 18th. It's a Monday, and we do it in Philadelphia.
At a great theater called the Arden Theater, which is in an area of Philly called Old City. And it's a great area to come visit because it has great restaurants and bars and history and culture. And to be in a real theater rather than an auditorium for us is important for 2 reasons. And one is that our background is in the theater. We were both professional actors, and we have a great reverence for the stage. It brings out a different level of performance, a different quality of performance than, say, a riser in a conference room, a hotel room. It also, on video, looks good.
Yeah, it does.
It lends a different atmosphere, and so we're doing it at a great theater, the Arden.
So if you do it for us, then we pay for the location.
Mm-hmm.
We pay for the film crew. And of course, because we're bringing them for 3 days and doing all this work with them, they charge us a lot more than that, even that $35,000.
Yeah, they do.
They charge us a lot more.
But they bring the sound guys, and then they have the entire post-production team. You will have the full rights to your edited video, plus the music that's behind it.
Yeah. So if we back up to the before part, which is production, we handle the production. So we handle all of the organization. You just show up and shine. And
that's good.
Yeah, you just show up and shine. And then we interface with the video crew and work on the videos to make sure that they come out just right. And of course, you can do a round of editing as well. But I think last year when we did them, we only needed to edit 2 videos.
Out of 45.
Out of 45, everyone went, oh my God, that's it. So we're going to show you a few of those videos now. While those videos are running, if you want to hop on over to the page that details the whole experience, you can see in the right side of the screen on your computer, there is a showcase box, and you can click the more button.
You might not all have that showcase button up. You can go back to that little grid with the 9 squares in it that's near your name. When you click on that, you have the option again for the Q&A box or showcase.
Or you can go to heroicpublicspeaking.com/speaker-videos. heroicpublicspeaking.com/speaker-videos. And that's where all the details are. So I'm going to show you a couple videos. We'll take a few minutes. But while you're watching, if you, again, want to hop over to that page, feel free. And then we can walk you through the different options that are available to you for registration. And then we'll take any questions you have about demo videos, regardless of whether you're doing this with or without us, and any questions you have about doing it with us. And we'll stay on until you guys have those questions in, and you can put those in at any time. Amy is going to manage the Q&A. So please feel free at any time, any questions on anything we've covered or anything else that we haven't covered that you'd like to know about. I'm going to show a video first from our live event in HBS. This is not a individual demo reel, but I want to show you something that our filmmakers created for us that we think is very effective and we'll be using to promote HBS Live this year. It's an event video, but you'll see the kind of quality that they are producing. And then we'll show you one, maybe two, or maybe pieces of 3 different videos, depending on how we feel as we're working through them. So here's a video that okay, so we are back. We were told that the video wasn't being shown. You know, it's funny. You would think that, given this is Google, that the things would work. I don't know exactly why it's not playing, but nonetheless, you can see most of those videos, not the one that we were just showing you now, but the videos of our students in the kind of demo videos that you'll be doing with us if you choose to do with us when you go to the website. There's a whole slew of them there that you can review, and they'll give you obviously a full picture of what kind of videos you'll be shooting. I just want to show you the other one because I liked it.
But when you go and you look at the page, which again is heroicpublicspeaking.com/speaker-videos, you will see a whole range of people. You will see people who were already professional speakers when they shot the video. You will see people for whom this is their very first presentation, but they are cultivating such high quality video that they are now out there.
And you know what? I bet you, I'd put $100 on it right now, I'd put $1,000 on it right now, that you couldn't tell who the pros were and who the beginners were. Now, if you recognize one of the pros, well, that's different. That's cheating.
Yeah.
If you've seen them before. But overall, the quality is so good, you couldn't tell. In fact, there were a number of people who came in, and these weren't our grad students, mind you, but the 9 or 10 people that were part of the HPS community but hadn't yet been our direct students. A few of those came in, they came in a little bit unprepared. And they didn't necessarily have all their material memorized. Yet you wouldn't know when you watch the videos. Now, we're not encouraging you to come in unprepared, but the magic of film and shooting with multiple cameras and multiple takes, because you'll come in and you'll do the same piece for about 5 times.
That's right.
And then our crew will shoot many different angles, wide shots, medium shots, close-ups, some sort of sexy shots, and so then they'll take the best parts and edit it together. But the audience will feel watching it that it's one long, smooth speech that you gave in one take. But even the folks that could have done a little bit more work to prepare for it, you couldn't tell who those were versus the ones who were absolutely prepared, knew it cold. Didn't have to think about it twice.
That's different from live performance.
Very different from live performance. If it was the live performance, those folks would have been in trouble with a capital T. So listen, if you'll see on the page, if you're there, if you're going to do it. Okay, that's from you. If you're going to do it, there are a couple different options. You can just sign up to shoot the video, or you can sign up to shoot the video and have Amy coach you on Skype before. Or you can have me coach you on Skype before the event. And either way, it'll prepare you. It's a different price point, in part because I just don't do as many of those things, so my time is a little bit more limited. And number 3, the other option is we also have script writers that you can work with, and those are moderate additional costs. Mm-hmm. But we have really a stable of great writers that you can work with to make sure your script is perfect.
Now, one of the things I sometimes hear from people is they say, well, I'm not ready. My entire 60-minute keynote is not yet completely written or completely rehearsed or ready for showtime. You only need 2.5 to 4 minutes. That's all you need. It's 2.5 to 4 minutes of content that is well scripted, which we can help you with, and well rehearsed, which we can help you with, in order to then sell yourself. And I'll tell you, nothing will move you faster along that process than having deadlines. If we decide I'm not going to create a speaker video until I am perfect, until my keynote is complete, there's no date, there's no commitment to hold us accountable. Whereas if on June 18th, I'm moving forward with this aspect of my career, you better believe you'll be ready, and we are here to help you in that process.
Part of our job is to help you reduce your anxiety levels. When I started doing this work in 2003, I thought my role was going to be just teaching, sometimes inspiring, but I really thought my role was primarily just showing you how to do the things you wanted to do. And what I've discovered over the past 13 years is that our job in large part is to help you manage the fear that you have around doing some of the big things that you want to do. Now, I'm not saying that you necessarily are petrified of doing this, but you may be a little nervous about it. You may, as Amy said, wonder if it's time. So what doing this with us, we believe, helps you reduce those anxiety producing fears that you might have, because all the important things are taken care of and you're doing it with people that have a lot of experience. And I like that idea. I mean, I like that part of our role is to help you feel more at ease when you're doing the things that you want to do. Now, our job is not really to hold you accountable. That's your job. You've got to do it.
That's well put.
But, having dates, set when you've committed and you've got to show up and do it. Well, that's accountability, but you've made that commitment by signing up to say yes. So we can't hold you accountable to that.
Well, that's you saying, I want to do bigger things.
Yeah, that's exactly
it's
right.
Stating your desire in a tangible, concrete way.
But what we can do is we can make the process much more comfortable for you, not easier. So make sure you wear the right clothing because, you may or may not be a fashionista, and you don't need to be a fashionista, but what you wear on stage matters, as Amy said before, and not everything works on stage. There's some types of clothing that work better than others on stage. So that's in part our job. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in over there. Okay, so one of the questions, let me see if I can read this. If we do the video, how can we use it? I mean, who owns it?
Yeah.
Okay, so who owns the video? Well, we contract our filmmakers on a work for hire basis. And then all of these rights are assigned to you, so you can do anything you want with it. You can absolutely anything you want with it. You can play it at your home parties. You can put it on Vimeo. You can put it on YouTube. You can put it right on your site. You can give it to people to download. You can put it on DVDs if those things still exist.
Send it to meeting planners.
You can, project it out of your eyeballs if you want. You can do absolutely anything you want with it, and that's for life. We can't take it back from you. If you want to take a payment plan for this, you can take a payment plan for this, but the only consideration is to get your video, you have to be paid in full, because that would be kind of a bummer if we made the video for you, we gave it to you, you used it, booked all these gigs, but I don't want to pay the rest of my thing. I'll just skip that. And then we're like, whoa, what are we going to do? We gave you the video already. So that's just what we asked. And if you take a payment plan, you're paid in full before you get it. The videos will be ready 30 to 90 days after the event, depending on when you sign up, based on when you sign up. So you are in the last third of the people signing up. So you'll be in that 60 to 90 day window.
So by September, or by the end of September, you could have your video in hand.
Yeah. And if you're the first of these 9 spots today, then you will be at the very beginning of September or at the end of August, rather than at the end of September. So there's a little incentive to make your decision. If you have questions at any time, you can always call us at 414-4-PORT. Whenever I do the number, I always feel like, call us today at 414-4-PORT. But that is our number. And also you can email us at questions@heroicpublicspeaking.com. questions@heroicpublicspeaking.com. And we're happy to talk to you. We can get on the phone with you and answer any questions that you have.
The other thing you need to know is that because payments on a payment plan need to be done before you receive your video, you have the option for a 4 payment now until the end of the month. Once we get into June, that moves down to a 3 payment. So if you do need a little more spacing out on those, this would be the time.
And the reason that the number of payments change is because we're getting closer to the date. So we want these payments to be paid very close to when we actually shoot it, so that we're not spending money for somebody that doesn't pay, because we are paying our filmmakers when you say you're in. So this isn't something that produces a huge amount of profit for us. It's not our sort of big profitable thing that we do, but we make a couple bucks when you sign up. But the filmmakers are the ones who are getting a significant amount of money. And we do this because we know the importance of it, and we know what it's done for the people who have done it before. Paid speaking gigs again and again and again. And they have all said, listen, if I didn't have a video, I wouldn't even have applied for the job. I wouldn't have submitted myself, because I would have felt silly. And certainly if I had submitted and I didn't have this video, I wouldn't have got it.
And even for people who don't want to be paid speakers, who have done these videos with us, what they're coming back to us with is results on how they are seen in the world and in their industry, and how that has changed because they have such high quality video of them speaking on what it is that they are experts at.
When someone sees you on the stage through a video, they see you differently, because the expert is put on stage, not the amateur, the expert. So if that's Let's say you don't even want to go out and do a lot of speaking. You don't like to travel. Well, if you position yourself as a speaker and you do some speaking, but it's not your primary thing, when people land on your website and there's a video of you, incredibly high quality, giving a speech, it changes the way they see you. It changes the way they see you entirely. And the world in which we live, we want to watch videos. The things I like to do when I'm on YouTube is watch videos, or when I'm on Facebook is watch videos. That's what I like. Otherwise, by the end of the day, my eyes are already burnt out from reading. So we need to see, and we want to see you. And that's what's super important. So if you have any questions, just give us a buzz, 414-4PORT, or send us an email, questions@heroicpublicspeaking.com. And that's all for today.
That's all for today.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being a part of the community. We will keep doing our best to bring you what you need to be a better public speaker. And we make that promise to everybody that we work with, that we guarantee that we can help you become a better public speaker. 100% guaranteed, in fact. Bye for now.
Bye.